Every night for 2 weeks, her 3-year-old son climbed out of his warm bed and pressed his tiny body against the closet door. Sarah thought it was nightmares. She thought it was just a phase. She was wrong. What she found on that camera changed everything she thought she knew about the person she trusted most. Lucas had always been a good sleeper. From the very first night Sarah brought him home from the hospital, he'd slept through the noise of the city, through thunderstorms, through the sound of her crying in the next room after his father left. He was that kind of baby. Easy, calm, trusting. She used to stand in the doorway of his nursery and watch him sleep, his little chest rising and falling, his chubby fist curled under his chin. She would think, how did I make something this perfect? Then one Tuesday night, everything changed. Sarah heard it at 11 p.m. A soft thump from the nursery. She put down her book and walked down the hall. Lucas's bed was empty. He was on the floor, his back pressed hard against the white closet door, his eyes wide open, staring at the opposite wall. Baby. Sarah knelt down. What are you doing? It's cold down here. Lucas didn't answer. He just lifted his arms to be picked up, his grip tight and desperate. She put him back in his bed, tucked him in, kissed his forehead. 20 minutes later, she heard the thump again. He was back on the floor. Same position, same wide eyes, same pressed tight against the door stillness. It happened every night that week and the week after. No matter how many times Sarah put him back in his bed, Lucas would climb out and return to the same spot. Back against the closet door, eyes fixed on the wall like he was guarding something, like he was keeping something in. Sarah checked the closet a dozen times, moved the clothes, checked the shelves, shone a flashlight into every corner. Nothing. Just tiny shirts, boxes of shoes, a bag of old toys. See, Luke, it's empty, she tried to sound cheerful. Just clothes. No monsters. Lucas wouldn't look inside. He squeezed his eyes shut and covered his ears until she closed the door again. The pediatrician said it was night terrors. He'll grow out of it, the doctor said, already looking at the next file. But it wasn't night terrors. Lucas was wide awake when he did it. He wasn't scared of a dream. He was scared of something real. Sarah was doing it all alone. Lucas's father had left before he could walk. She worked from home. Graphic design deadlines at midnight. Coffee going cold on her desk. She loved her son with everything she had, but she was tired in the way that only single mothers understand. Tired that went all the way down to the bone. She had hired Mrs. Eleanor Voss 6 months earlier, 63 years old, gray hair pinned neatly back, reading glasses on a chain around her neck. She brought homemade cookies on her first day. She called Lucas my little lamb. She had references. She had experience. She had a warm smile that made Sarah feel for the first time in months that everything might be okay. Don't you worry, Mrs. Voss had said on that first morning. I raised 4 children of my own. Your boy is in good hands. Sarah had believed her. She had no reason not to. The breaking point came on a Thursday night during a thunderstorm. The thunder shook the house, waking Sarah at 2 a.m. She went to check on Lucas, expecting to find him crying from the noise. The room was silent. Too silent. Lucas was in his usual spot against the closet door, but this time he had dragged his heavy toy chest across the room. He had wedged the wooden box against the door handle, and he was sitting on top of it, his small hands gripping the edge, his eyes fixed on the door. A 3-year-old had built a barricade. Sarah's heart hammered in her chest. She knelt down on the cold floor in front of him. Luke, baby, you have to tell mommy. What are you doing? Lucas looked at the closet door, then at her, his lip quivered. He knocks, Lucas whispered. Sarah felt the air leave the room. Who knocks, baby? Lucas leaned in close, his voice barely audible over the rain. The bad man. He says he's coming out if I sleep. Sarah ripped the closet door open. Empty, just the silent rows of hanging clothes swaying slightly in the draft. She checked the attic access panel above, sealed tight. Nobody could get in there. It was physically impossible. She sat on the floor of the nursery, her son in her lap, his small arms around her neck. And for the first time since this started, she felt truly afraid, not of what was in the closet, of what she didn't understand. That night, Sarah sat on the floor with Lucas until he fell asleep. She didn't try to put him back in his bed. She just stayed there beside him, her back against the closet door, her hand on his chest, feeling him breathe, the way she used to watch him sleep when he was a newborn, when everything was still simple, when the biggest thing she worried about was whether he was warm enough. She stayed until 4 a.m. Then she carried him to her bed and held him all night. The next morning, Mrs. Voss arrived at 8 a.m. sharp. Homemade muffins, warm smile, reading glasses on the chain. Is everything all right, dear? She asked, seeing Sarah's pale face. Lucas is having nightmares, Sarah said carefully. He thinks there's something in the closet. Mrs. Voss's face filled with concern. Oh, the poor lamb. Don't you worry. I'll keep him in the living room today nice and bright. Sarah nodded. She felt guilty for even thinking it, but the feeling in her stomach wouldn't go away. Before she sat down at her desk, she took the old baby monitor camera from the drawer, set it up on the bookshelf, angled toward the room. She told herself it was just to check on Lucas, just to make sure he was okay. She opened the live feed on her laptop. 9 a.m. Mrs. Voss was reading Lucas a story. He was laughing. 10:30 a.m. building blocks on the floor. Mrs. Voss clapping when he got them right. 12:15 p.m. lunch. Mrs. Voss humming a lullaby while Lucas ate. Sarah put her laptop down feeling stupid. She was paranoid. It was just nightmares. She worked the rest of the afternoon without checking the camera once. When she came home that evening, the house felt heavy. Lucas was on the sofa staring at nothing. Pale, exhausted, the kind of exhausted that isn't just tired. Mrs. Voss met her at the door. He was a little fussy this afternoon, but he was a good boy overall. Sarah thanked her, paid her, watched her leave. The moment the door closed, Lucas ran to Sarah and grabbed her leg with both hands. "Don't go," he whispered. "I'm not going anywhere, baby." She picked him up and held him tight. That night she couldn't sleep. At midnight she opened her laptop. "I'll just check the afternoon recording," she told herself, just to be sure. She scrolled through the footage. Lunchtime, playtime, everything normal. She was about to close the laptop, then she saw it. The timestamp read 2:17 p.m., just after she had stopped watching the live feed. In the video, Lucas knocked over his juice cup, a small accident. Mrs. Voss stopped humming. Slowly, methodically, she put her knitting down and her face changed. The warm, grandmotherly smile disappeared instantly, replaced by something cold, something flat, something Sarah had never seen on a human face before. She stood up and towered over the little boy. "I told you to be careful," she hissed. Her voice was unrecognizable, jagged, hard like broken glass. Lucas scrambled backward, whimpering. He didn't run for the door. He curled into a ball, trying to make himself invisible, the way children do when they already know there is nowhere to run. Mrs. Voss stood over him, her shadow covering him completely. "You know the rules, Lucas. Messy boys go to the hole." Sarah watched in horror as Lucas scrambled to his feet and backed toward the closet, away from her like he already knew what was coming. Mrs. Voss threw the closet door open. Then she did something that made Sarah's blood turn to ice. She knocked on the inside of the closet wall 3 times. Knock, knock, knock. Then she changed her voice, made it deep, made it slow, made it something inhuman. "Is he being bad again? Do I need to come out and take him away forever?" Lucas shrieked. "Please," he begged. "I'll be good. I'll be good." "You better be," Mrs. Voss said, her own voice returning like nothing had happened. She pointed to the closet, her voice dropped to a whisper. "And now?" Lucas went in by himself, his shoulders shaking. The door clicked shut behind him. She turned the key in the lock, slipped it into her pocket and sat back down to knit. 20 minutes, she said calmly. Inside the closet, Sarah could hear Lucas crying, whispering, begging the man not to take him. Sarah slammed the laptop shut. Her hands were shaking so hard she knocked her coffee across the desk. Sarah ran to Lucas's room and held him all night. The police arrested Mrs. Eleanor Voss the following morning. The footage was all the evidence they needed. That same afternoon, Sarah took a screwdriver to the nursery. While Lucas watched, she removed the closet door from its hinges and carried it to the garage. "Look, Luke," she said. "No door, no darkness, nothing can hide there anymore." Lucas stared at the open space, then walked to Sarah and took her hand. 2 weeks later, Sarah brought Bear home, a golden retriever puppy, 8 weeks old, ears too big for his head. Lucas sat down on the floor. Bear climbed into his lap and licked his face. Lucas laughed. The first real laugh in weeks. That night, Bear jumped off the bed, walked to the open closet, sniffed once, and lay down directly in front of it. His golden body stretched across the entrance like a living door. Lucas watched him from the bed. "Mommy," he said quietly. "Bear won't let the bad man out." Sarah couldn't speak. That night, Lucas slept in his bed all night for the first time since it all began.